Hey guys, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be taking on a big task. We are going to be doing 25 bullet journal font / lettering / calligraphy ideas. This is something that you guys have been requesting a ton, so I thought I would compile all of my different ideas into one ultimate guide. If you guys didn't know, I did something similar to this where I did 50 different bullet journal doodle ideas, so I will link that down below if you haven't checked that out. And if you're in need of some more inspiration, you can also check out my entire bullet journal video playlist, which is there, and I have so many different videos that are available for you guys to watch. Back to this video, I'm going to be breaking it down and showing you guys some of my personal favorite bullet journal hand lettering and font ideas, ones that I love to use, and hopefully you guys will love to use them too. So without further ado, I think we should just get started. Let's get right into it. Alright, so starting off with a couple of basic fonts. This one is my standard all caps kind of spread out font. I like to add a lot of spacing in between my letters, just kind of gives it a clean look. And then the second one is a more tall vertical version, and these two are kind of the two that I use the most because they're the easiest and the quickest. If you want to spice things up with your basic standard fonts, you can add these little ticks on the ends of the letters, and these are called serifs. And you can add this to both styles of the basic fonts, and it just kind of adds something a little bit different to your lettering. The next lettering idea is your classic block letters, and these can be a little tricky. You can practice with pencil underneath if you are worried, but once you get the hang of it, you can go straight in with pen and you kind of get the hang of how to draw each letter. And as you can tell, I decided to go with more of an all caps tall look, but you can use block letters with any sort of style. As you can see here, I'm doing it with regular lowercase letters. And something that I like to do to add a little bit more impact to my block letters is add a drop shadow. So I take a thicker fine liner and add a shadow to the side of the letter. In order to do this, you have to pick one side and kind of stick with it for all the letters. So as you can see, I'm picking the right side, and that's the side of the letters that you have to make thicker. I hope this makes sense, but it really does add a nice impact to your lettering and kind of makes things stand out in your bullet journal. Similarly, if you are not that great at doing hollow block letters, you can kind of make thicker block letters and fill them in, and then add a thin line drop shadow. As you can see, it kind of looks like there's a 3D-ness to your lettering. Same thing, pick one side and add the drop shadow to that side. Number 7 is another version of the standard font. So as you can see, I'm starting off with the basic all caps lettering that I mentioned at the beginning, but then on all of the vertical lines, I'm making these hollow, thicker sections. And I really like the way this turns out. It's an easy way to add a little bit of variance to your lettering. Here you can see I'm doing the same type of thing, but instead of leaving the vertical, thicker sections hollow, I'm filling them in. And then I'm also going to be adding these little curly Q flourishes at the end of the letters. And how I do this is kind of make a dot and fill it in and then connect it to the ends of the letters. It's much more easier if you just watch me kind of do it. I really suck at explaining this, but again, it's kind of like a cute little idea, and with all of these font ideas, you can just kind of mix and match them depending on what you prefer. Number 9 is kind of similar to the last two, but I wanted to show you guys how if you switch one little thing about a font, it can look completely different. So I'm doing the same type of thing where I'm filling in all of the vertical sections of the letters and making it thicker, but since I used the tall vertical font, it just looks a lot more different from the previous two. Technically, this could be considered two separate fonts because as you can see, I'm adding serifs to this font, which makes it look completely different, but same kind of thing. You start off with a standard font and you add all of your little details onto it. For number 10, we are doing bubble letters. I decided to do all caps just because that's what I tend to prefer, but depending on what you prefer, you can do lowercase or you can even mix them together. But these ones are just kind of similar to the block letters. They're just a little bit more blob-like. And then again, variation, wanted to show you guys that the drop shadow technique can be done for any type of lettering, so I decided to do the drop shadow for some bubble letters, and this kind of makes it again look 3D. A cool idea would also be to do the drop shadow in a different color, maybe with like a marker or a gray tone, depending on your color scheme for your bullet journal. What I like about bubble letters is that they're a bit less precise than block letters, so you can do them a lot faster, and even if you mess up a little bit, it kind of adds to the handwritten effect and makes it look a little bit more quirky. But for the next one, number 12, we are doing bubble letters, but instead of a drop shadow or instead of leaving it empty, I'm adding an inner line. So I'm just using my thin fine liner and tracing the inside to kind of give it like a filled in look, but not completely filled in. I don't know how to describe it, but you guys can see. And then a different idea for a block letter would be to do a block letter with these serifs. And again, this, you're gonna see that this could be split up into 3 separate fonts, but I kind of combined it into one because you could leave it hollow like this, which I have done, or you can add the inner line like I did previously, or you can add the drop shadow. So again, I just wanted to show you guys that all of these different lettering effects can be applied to so many different fonts, and they just look completely different depending on how you use them and how you use different colors with them, etc. Because this inline technique could also be done with like a marker or a different color fine liner, and it'll just look totally different depending on what you use. By the way, I forgot to mention that any fine liners or markers or supplies that I'm going to be using are linked down below as usual. You guys always ask me what fine liners and markers I use, so a whole list will be down below so that you guys can check them out. But back to the lettering, this one tends to take a little bit longer, so I'll typically only do this type of font if I'm doing an inspirational quote page or something that I want to just focus on a little bit more. But I find that hollow letters take more time because you have to be more precise with it. If you want to kind of avoid that hassle, you can do filled in versions of these. As I mentioned before, using a thicker marker and then just kind of going over it kind of gives the appearance of a block letter that was filled in, but you don't have to be as precise with your outlines. So as you can see, I'm kind of doing an inverted version of number 13, so with the black letters, and then I'm going to be using my white Uniball Signo pen to do the inner line to kind of give it some visual interest, and then doing the same thin line drop shadow. I hope all of these terms are making sense to you. These are kind of terms that I've appointed myself, but you guys will get the hang of it and you'll be lettering pros in no time. These types of things, the only thing you can really do to improve is practice and to get inspiration from people, which you are already doing, so you have one step covered. But the next section of lettering ideas is more calligraphy and cursive ideas. I have a whole video on calligraphy, so if you haven't watched that yet, I recommend you check that out if you want a more in-depth tutorial, because these are just going to be like a quick rundown. With that being said, number 15 is just a basic cursive lettering with a standard fine liner, so you have the consistent line thickness all the way through. Super easy. Number 16 is kind of similar, but you're just squishing them together and making them taller. Number 17, you're not connecting the letters as much. And then number 18 is what I like to call faux or fake calligraphy, which I explain more in depth in my calligraphy video, but this is kind of to imitate the look of a brush pen. You can choose to leave it hollow or you can fill it in depending on the look that you're going for. Number 19 is using an actual brush pen, and as you can see, this gives your calligraphy a completely different look, and you can also give it different looks depending on the type of brush pen that you use. The next one, I'm using a very wide marker. This one is 1.0 in thickness. As you can see, it's very thick, and that's because I like the look of doing this with a line drop shadow, giving it kind of like that 3D popped out look. You guys are probably tired of hearing me say the word drop shadow, but it's one of my favorite effects to do on any type of lettering, and it works just as well on cursive, as you can see. We're getting down to the end here. Number 21 is a super wide stretch out version of cursive, kind of giving it a more linear look. And then number 22, we are using the Tombow dual brush pen. This brush pen is a lot thicker than the one that I used before, and it comes in a lot of different colors. So what I like to do is use a light color and then outline it with my black fine liner just to make it pop out of the page even more. And this is something that is super easy that you can do to switch up your regular Tombow calligraphy. The next idea is something a little bit different, and it's also more decorative than I normally go for, but again, starting off with my Tombow dual brush pen, just doing some standard cursive, pushing down hard on the downstrokes as usual. And then on these thicker sections of the lettering where I did my downstroke, I'm adding a line of dots to kind of decorate it. And then later on, you're going to see that I outline it again, but this time I only outline one side of the letter to give it a drop shadow look again. I know, me with the drop shadows, I'm crazy, but it really is the best way to make your lettering look more professional. Like, look at that. Look at how much of a difference that makes. I just love it so much. Okay, we are down to the second last one. This one I'm using my dual brush pen, but you can really use any marker that is a lighter color. And I'm doing a standard tall all caps, but then on top of that I'm doing these thin stretched out linear cursive to give it a layered look. This is something that I've seen on Instagram a lot and I love how it looks. And then finally, number 25, we are back to my thin black brush pen. This is the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen in the soft tip, and I always like to use the Tombow dual brush pen underneath that. And this is a great, easy way to incorporate your color scheme, especially if your color of choice is a light pastel color. But there you go, those were all of my ideas. Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite. Alright guys, we made it to the end. 25 different bullet journal font and lettering ideas. I hope you guys enjoyed or found some sort of inspiration. As I mentioned in my last one, if you didn't find inspiration from this video, I don't know what will, because there was quite a lot of content happening here. So if you enjoyed and want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe down below and hit the bell button so you can be notified whenever I post a new one. You can also follow me on Instagram at AmandaHDoodles. I post a lot of different art and bullet journal content there, and recently I've been doing a lot more live streams there as well, so you can come join me and be a part of those. But I think that's pretty much it, so I hope you guys have an awesome day. I love you, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye guys!